Welcome to Health Matters with me, Ryan O'Connor. It is brought to you in partnership with Cipla. This week we are talking gut health. I love to know more about gut health, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy this. With us is Adi St. George, a nutritional therapist and biokinesiologist based in Cape Town. Adi, it's lovely to have you with us today.
Cool, thanks for having me.
Now let's talk a little bit about the basics. The
Yes.
gut. It's more than
Gut.
just our stomach. What is the gut? People say, I have a gut feeling. No, you don't.
Well, you can have a gut feeling.
Yeah.
So the gut is the gastrointestinal tract.
Okay.
So your digestive system.
Right.
So basically from your mouth to your bum.
Got you.
So the organs, it's basically your stomach, your small intestine, and your large intestine. So
Okay.
that is the gut.
Okay.
But you could also talk about a beer gut.
A
which would
beer
just
gut?
be your
Yeah.
flabby beer gut.
Or when people
But
talk, as I mentioned,
Yeah.
about gut instincts, they talk about obviously the central feeling within their being that says, I've got a feeling about something. So the word gut, it's no stranger to us.
Oh gosh, you got into some hardcore stuff quite early on. So a gut feeling, yes, absolutely. So you do have nerves which run to your gut and to your brain.
They
So
give you
when
that tingly sensation.
Yes. So when you say you have a gut feeling,
All right.
it is from your gut.
Really from your gut.
It's, yeah, your
Now,
instincts, yeah.
what makes a gut healthy?
So should we talk about what makes a gut unhappy? How to tell?
Yes.
Because
I know when my gut's
Yes.
unhappy, when it starts making noises and feeling like it's not well. Am I wrong?
okay,
That's more
so,
stomach than gut.
It depends where it is. Where is it?
Down right the stomach region.
So okay, I know what. Show me.
Okay.
Put your hand on your stomach.
yeah. Yeah.
Over there. So your stomach is actually.
Now, if you're listening to this, the podcast, and you're not watching the video, it's to my, tell me what it is.
So your stomach is actually sort of under it's quite high up under your left rib. So it's your stomach is up there, which is why you call it heartburn when you have the reflux,
it's near your
because
heart.
it's
Got
close
you.
to your heart. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But in terms of having an unhappy gut.
Yes.
So now I'm talking gut, as I said, stomach,
Yeah.
small intestine, large intestine. So the more obvious symptoms of an unhappy gut would be the obvious reflux, heartburn, burping, flatulence, bloating, anything uncomfortable around there. So that's so if you also if you aren't going to the toilet every day,
Okay.
you absolutely need to be going to the loo every day. There are some people
Got you.
say,
Yeah.
no, that's fine. Once, every 3
Yes,
days.
yeah.
No, you absolutely do need to be eliminating every day.
Okay.
And yeah, so those are obviously the more obvious signs of something being wrong. But anything from skin issues
Yeah.
to mood to hormones to, I don't think there's any condition which is not related to your gut health.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hence, gut health being the central basic concern for most, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
health issues. It stems from gut. I want to talk a little bit about something like food intolerance testing.
Yes.
How does that help to figure out what's causing an issue, for example?
So I do always test for food intolerances when
Okay.
I do my session. With the BioKinesiology, we have little vials with the same substances in, and I do muscle testing. I wouldn't start there, though.
Okay.
I wouldn't start there. Your main culprits with food intolerances would be cow's milk,
Okay.
but also when people, if cow's milk is in your diet, you most
Yeah.
likely are eating it 4 times a day. You're having milk in your tea or coffee, you're having milk
Sure.
in your cereal, you're having, butter isn't as bad because there isn't as much of the protein in the sugar in, milk sugar in. And then you're having cheese in your bread, and then you're having yogurt, and then your kid didn't have dinner, so just a bit more yogurt, actually there's a bit of protein in cheese. So that is, so if you thought that you had an issue with food, the first place I'd start would be cow's milk, switching
Okay.
to sheep or goat's milk.
Okay.
Okay. Or sheep or goat's milk, yogurt or cheese. Or that's the first thing I do if you think you have intolerance. And otherwise, wheat or gluten.
Okay.
So wheat is more heavily sprayed and genetically modified than the likes of other grains, than even rye. So rye has gluten in. Okay. So other grains do have gluten in, but so wheat. Once again, if you're eating wheat.
Yeah.
If you're eating wheat, you're going to be eating it 7 times a day.
Sure.
So that would be the first place to start. The only thing which I didn't want to touch on it yet because I didn't explain sort of the organs yet.
Okay.
But with the food intolerance testing as well is that so in your small intestine you have villi.
Right.
And you have your your gut integrity is basically that there need to be your gut can't be permeable.
Okay.
So you don't want if it's permeable, then undigested food is going straight into your bloodstream.
Okay.
So if your gut, your small intestine, we don't use the word gut anymore because now we know it's not just.
Sure.
So with your small intestine, if it's permeable, then when you have a food intolerance test, the food that you're eating can just come up. So because you're eating eggs for breakfast and you're having, walnuts and this and this and this, then you get told eggs are an issue and walnuts are an issue. Okay. But actually the issue is your gut lining.
Okay.
So it's not, So I wouldn't rush. I would first work on your diet.
Okay.
Think, how did Gran eat 100 years ago?
Sure.
Like that.
Yeah.
And did she eat bread every single meal? No.
Okay.
Cow's milk every single meal?
No.
Yeah, there we go.
And I mean, you mentioned cow's milk and you mentioned a couple of alternatives, but there seems to be this vast array of alternatives for almost every food source we have.
Yes.
You know, like if you find that there's something that doesn't agree with you, now we've got this, maybe 20 years ago we didn't have as many options. Now we're inundated with options on where to turn as an alternative.
Yes. Which isn't necessarily a good thing. So in terms of, because we're talking about milk.
Sure.
So in terms of milks, so just to say this, so why people love dairy so much is that in terms of your macronutrients, your protein, fat, and carbohydrates, just like breast milk, it's in perfect proportion. So the likes of oat milk and those milks, it's just carbohydrate. So if you,
very important to know what you've just said now. Go back and listen to that again because that's very important because we're very quick to jump on the oat milk or the healthier alternatives, but there are things that those healthier alternatives lack.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, if you really love your granola and you want to have some milk and in your granola there is fat and there is protein, so you're happy with that, then that's not an issue using that. But it is a processed food.
Yes.
So just because it says healthy on doesn't mean that it's healthy. No.
Got you.
No.
Okay, so listen, how can we improve our digestive health or our gut health? I mean, what are the steps we take? We want to have a healthy gut.
Okay, so I'm going to start at the beginning, which is the mouth.
Got you.
Okay, so I'm going to explain digestion because a lot of the advice that I'm going to tell you now, it's not new. Okay. It really isn't new. And you're going to say, I've heard that so many times. But if you can understand why you're being told it, it's easier for you to actually apply it. Okay. So digestion starts in the mouth. So we chew our food, we break it down. And then we have in our saliva, we have something called salivary amylase. So ASE means it's an enzyme. Okay. So salivary amylase, it starts breaking down the carbohydrates and the starch in our mouth already. So that like painful advice when people are like, just chew your food more. Yeah. And you're like, oh my God. Anyway, actually, digestion has started in your mouth.
Okay.
So also to note then that if you are, obviously your brain is connected, you have nerves going, so if you're watching TV and you're not really focusing.
True.
So actually, that advice of sit down at the dinner table, relax, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. There is merit to that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so first starts in your mouth.
Yeah.
So then it goes down to your stomach, your food goes in the stomach. So your stomach is very acidic. So the pH of your stomach needs to be between 1 and 3, which is very acidic. So like battery acid is like 0.7.
True.
So and the pH table goes from 1 to 40. Yeah. So it needs to be acidic. Yeah. So one thing so in terms of getting your digestive juices flowing as well, once again, you need to be relaxed. So your nervous system has two states. There's the parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest and digest, and the sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight. Oh, excuse me. So when you're in the rest and digest, your parasympathetic, and I always picture a little like parachute going down. That's the calm one.
Yes.
So when you're in that, your body is ready. There's blood flowing to your intestines. Your juices are going. Everything is ready for you to start eating. If you are stressed, once again, I don't know if you're eating on the run, while you're driving. Sure. Yeah. A car could go into you and you're trying to eat your food. That's stressful. Watching TV. I don't know if you have kids. Maybe every dinner time's a bit like that. But anyway, so that is because you really need. That is when your stomach acid activates your protein digesting enzymes.
Right.
So it's our enzymes that help digest our food.
Okay.
So what else can affect our stomach acid? So stress, as I said, alcohol
Yes.
can also affect our stomach acid. Coffee can also affect our stomach acid. But in terms of what you're looking for, so you're looking for reflux.
Okay. That's a sign that we don't have, it's not acidic enough. Is that?
Yes.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yes. Well
Okay.
done. You
Yeah.
do know something about the gut.
Yeah.
No, really, because so what happens is you get reflux, and obviously at that moment you need to soothe it, otherwise
Yes.
you're not going to be very comfortable.
Yes.
But if you think your stomach acid is too high, you then take them to make your stomach acid higher pH, less acidic.
Sure.
And then, I mean, I don't know how your body works because you're not digesting your proteins, you're not digesting your food.
Yeah.
I mean, everything, it just can't work like that. So
Sure.
that's just very important to know.
Okay.
Yes.
What are the other telltale signs that you possibly are lacking that acidic health that's required?
I mean, indigestion.
That's it.
Oh, a good one. No, another good one is if you start going off meat. So sometimes if you're like, oh, I just prefer fish and maybe, but no, the thought of a steak is just too much. So often that is a sign that your stomach acid actually isn't acidic enough. So
Okay.
often vegetarians as well.
I always feel like meat.
Well, that's
I'm
great.
just saying.
Your gut is in.
My gut's in tip-top condition.
But yeah, often one, is kind of some vegetarians kind of land up like that. They're like, oh, I just don't really feel like meat. I don't really feel like meat. And then actually that's their body saying,
hey, hold on.
Yeah.
What, I mean, we've all heard of small and large intestines. What's the
Yes.
difference? Tell us how they, we know that they're also involved in the breaking down of food. How do they work? What's the small and
So what happens is your food's gone to your stomach,
Yeah.
and then it goes into the small intestine. So the small intestine is actually the longer intestine.
Got you.
So it's thinner, that's why it's called the small intestine.
Yeah.
But, so what happens there is that is where, so then more digestive enzymes come in, bile gets released from the gallbladder, and so that's where your nutrient absorption happens.
Got you.
So that's, I'd say 90% of digestion actually happens in the small intestine.
Okay.
Yes. And in terms of usually when you talk about gut health, you don't talk about the individual organs.
No.
But I just thought it'd be
Yes.
nice to do it this way so
Absolutely.
people can actually try and,
patch it together and know in their mind what's happening in the process.
Exactly. So why they're doing certain things.
Yeah.
So hang on, sorry, can we go one step back?
Sure.
One step back, because so with your hydrochloric acid,
Yes.
so there is something called a burp test. Okay.
Right.
There's
Burp
a burp
test.
test, yes. There's something called a burp test. So I always test. I've got the vial for hydrochloric acid and all those things.
Okay.
So I haven't done this with clients, but if you're not seeing me, then you can do this. And so you put a quarter teaspoon of bicarb. So look it up, but you take a quarter teaspoon of bicarb, you put in a little bit of water, you drink it, and you time how long it takes for you to have a burp. Yes.
And the longer?
So I think
Or
it's
the short, is it the shorter the better?
I think it's short. Yeah, it's shorter the better. So if it's like over 3 minutes, then your acid isn't strong enough.
No ways. That's
Yeah.
very cool. I'm going to try that.
And sorry,
Everyone's trying that now.
First thing in the morning.
Yeah,
First thing in the morning.
really?
Yeah, first thing in the morning.
Okay.
So you said it's everything. But then what you can do is there are a few things you can do. The easiest and cheapest thing to do is apple cider vinegar.
Okay.
So a teaspoon of that.
Oh,
or
it's
a cup of-
dreadful.
I mean, I think you
It
get used to
tastes
it.
dreadful. That's what people say.
No, I think it's actually quite sweet.
Okay.
Depends on your palate.
Okay. And that's
But-
very healthy to have.
Yeah. So put that in a little bit of warm water, and you have that before your meals, say
Okay.
10 minutes before your meals.
Yeah.
And that, I think it's pH 2. So
Right.
that's perfect for your stomach.
Is there
Yes.
any reason why the same thing's being said? There was a phase where people were taking
Yeah.
lemons, right?
Exactly.
And they were putting lemons in hot water in the morning and having it first thing when they wake up, they'd have like hot water with
Exactly.
fresh lemon in it. Is that for the same reason to activate the stomach or the gut to go, right, listen, we're going to prepare you for what might lie ahead, whether it's breakfast or whatever your morning.
So lemon is, I think it's a similar pH of, so you can also use lemon.
Okay.
The only thing, but no, so that is more for liver.
Okay.
So it's still fantastic. I
Okay.
highly recommend it.
Yes.
But in terms of you would be doing a lot of water and a tiny bit of lemon.
Bit of lemon, got
so
you.
The acidity of that.
Not
drink,
enough to
no, but it's
yeah.
still it would be the most amazing way to start the day. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So small intestine, what you can do. Okay. So what you can do is bone broth.
Okay.
Have you heard about bone broth?
I have.
Or stock?
Stock, yeah.
Okay. So, and have you heard of leaky gut?
Yes.
Okay, so leaky gut is when, remember I said with the villi and the microbiome,
Yes.
that there are actually, there's slight separations where undigested food and bacteria, anything which shouldn't be going through the gut, then goes into the bloodstream.
Got you.
So one thing you can do, so there's glutamine in bone broth or stock, and it helps with the wall integrity.
Okay.
It helps. So if you think you have a food intolerance, I would also first do, if you think of any gut issue, I'd be doing the apple cider vinegar and the bone broth before going to a food intolerance.
Okay.
Because the last thing you want to be told, you're already stressed about your digestion, and then someone says, those 10 foods you're eating, you can't eat those. That would be very stressful.
Okay.
So that's one thing you can do for your small intestine.
Okay.
And also to note that, easy to digest food, if you think of a baby or a young, toddler, like how you'd feed them.
Yes.
This like slow cooked casserole-y, that kind of food, our gut really does, our gut, everything from the stomach does prefer that, obviously. And then there's another quite fun thing.
Yeah.
It's actually a new thing I've sort of learned. Okay. So in your small intestine, right? So when people come in, so with my clients, the first thing I always do is we go through blood sugars. Okay. And so that's basically, do you know much about blood sugars? Okay. So you have your protein, fats, carbohydrates.
Yes.
Once again, if you're eating a meal with sufficient protein and good fats, you are fuller for longer. Yeah. It's coming into your blood a little bit slower. So that's always my first advice. And I was thinking the other day, how is my first advice not gut advice? Because the gut is where it starts, you know. But that's always the first lesson, because if you're not doing that, you're not eating properly. And then I realized that it actually is linked, because there's something called the migrating motor complex. Yeah, so the migrating motor complex, and it's basically, when your tummy rumbles.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you think that means?
You always presume it means I'm hungry.
Okay, so that means that the migrating motor complex, it's a sweep that goes through your small intestine to say, I've finished digesting your last meal.
So it's like a plug on a bath that takes the last little bit of water, and when it's swilling, it goes. Do you know that? And it's going like, this is the last of it. We're done. And your stomach's going, we've processed everything.
Exactly. And then you're like, quickly fill it up, bath water. Need more bath water. So it does a sweep, right? It does a sweep. It gets all the undigested food out, but it also gets all the bacteria that shouldn't be there.
All right.
So bacteria, there's more bacteria, loads of bacteria in the large intestine. We'll talk about that in a minute. But then I was thinking, okay, so then snacking isn't ideal. You don't want to be interrupting that migrating motor complex. Yes. Yeah. So how do you do that? Yeah. You need enough protein and fats in your previous meal
to keep it consistent, so it never actually gets to a point of making that.
No, so you aren't hungry, because if you're hungry, you need to eat.
You need to eat, correct.
So if you've eaten, let's say, 2 slices of white toast with jam on, maybe a bit of butter, and you think, okay, that's fine, then you're hungry, like an hour and a half later, because that's not sufficient for you.
Yeah.
So you need to be eating proper meals.
Yes.
You need to be eating proper meals. And obviously this is, there are exceptions. Yeah. There are exceptions, but you need to be eating something which can keep you full for, say, 3 hours, even 4 hours, 5 hours, so that you're not getting hungry. So when you're getting hungry, so ideally you're not getting hungry, because that means that your blood sugar is lower.
Is lower, correct.
Anyway, so that's how the migrating motor complex is actually linked to. Yes.
You were talking now, and I kept thinking in my mind about all these different fads we've had over the last year, 2, 3, 4, since the beginning of time, on things like intermittent fasting for 12 hours at a stint, and not, looking after. And then somebody said to me the other day, do you know that Chris Martin only eats when he's hungry? And he's one of many people who are on this. They only eat. There's a name for them. Okay, but they only eat when they're hungry. And it can be any time of the day or night, but it's the only time that they will eat is when they actually, they feel the need to eat, they feel their body's asking for food, and then they'll feed it. Sometimes they'll only eat once a day, sometimes twice a day, sometimes multiple times a day. And I'm like, surely that's not good for you.
So intermittent fasting is good for you.
Okay,
it is good for you. So with women, but the thing is, right, I would need to know, and obviously every client, I don't just usually give out random advice that people, take, because I need to understand what's
your situation.
Yeah, absolutely, because your situation is different from whoever else is in the room situation. Yes. Yeah. So if you start doing fasting and you don't really know how to eat properly, you might be missing out on your breakfast of 3 eggs, which is actually literally fueling your body. So I would first always educate people how to eat. Make sure they're getting enough protein, fat, nutrients, make sure everything's getting in their diet. And then if they say, can I do that in a shorter window time period? Absolutely, that's fine. Yeah. But in terms of eating in the middle of the night, you'd be messing up your circadian rhythm. So that is ridiculous.
Okay.
But eating when you're hungry, it depends what that looks like.
Sure.
If you say to me, I only eat when I'm hungry, that's usually at 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock, and that's me for the day, and I'm fine, and I have no health issues.
Yes,
then I'd say that's fine. But I mean, you have to have...
case is different, to your point.
Exactly. But also, if something's working for that person, if their digestion's working, if their mood's great, if their energy's great, if there's no skin things, if they're a pillar of health and they're doing a crazy thing and it's working for them, that's also fine.
I want to talk about, and we spoke about this in the beginning, probiotics very quickly. And I mentioned in Tyro, and I'm like, I've noticed the difference, and I'm not saying this because we're talking around a microphone and our friends at Cipla are involved, but having a really good probiotic has always been something that it doesn't matter who you go and see, whether it's a physician or somebody who specializes like yourself in gut health. It's the first bit of kind of a remedy for any kind of gut ills, is that looking at including a good probiotic in one's lifestyle. And if you think to maybe the first time that you were ever given an antibiotic by a doctor, that it was normally hand in hand with a very good probiotic, or take and use this yogurt or this culture because it's high in probiotics. When we think of probiotics, that importance with gut health, how do they kind of what is a probiotic?
Okay, well, let's first carry on. So we've done the small intestine, and I think I've only given you 2 bits of advice there. Bone broth, make sure you're eating properly so that you can... no, that was stomach.
Well, I'm going to take it anyway. I'm going to take that mixed with the bone broth.
You can...
I'm going to have the best health ever, Adi.
No, so apple cider vinegar in bone broth is delicious, but you wouldn't... Anyway.
Okay.
So hang on. So there was the migrating motor complex.
Yes.
So give your gut a bit of a break.
Got you.
So then the large intestine, right? So that is where the bacteria live.
Okay.
So there is... I think it's 2 kilograms of bacteria in your colon.
About 7 in me. I'm big boned.
So 7 kilos, not 7 strains. 7 kilos. So you have good bacteria and you have bad bacteria.
Got you.
And the whole idea is that you keep that in balance.
Got you.
So you have the likes of E. coli, you've got, maybe leftover salmonella. You have that in your large intestine, your colon, but ideally you have the good guys as well, which help balance it out. So in terms of probiotics, that is good gut. It's good bacteria. So it's basically trying to help the gut out in terms of that.
Is it good? This is totally off that. I just thought about this again. It's popped in my head.
Yeah.
Brushing your tongue with a toothbrush.
So I think that brushing your tongue stimulates the vagus nerve.
Okay. Because I'm just thinking about the bacteria. Obviously, it's on the tongue. That's helping in the breakdown of foods, and you're actually removing it.
So you don't want a white coating on your tongue?
No, I'm talking about every night brushing your... I do have white on my tongue.
I'm not saying.
Is that a good or bad thing?
So
I haven't eaten today, though. Let's be honest.
Okay, so if you put it away.
I'm trying to look at it myself.
Okay, so that would be the likes of Candida overgrowth.
Okay.
So if you do have a tongue coating, yes, you can brush it. That's going to get rid of it for maybe a day.
Okay.
So all over your body, you have bacteria, good bacteria, all over your body, everywhere, like every absolutely everywhere, in your skin and your mouth, and actually, very interesting. This is sort of off topic, but just because you brought it up, is that when you get holes in your teeth, you know how they say sugar.
Yes, puts holes in your teeth. You always told don't use it. Yeah.
But it's because sugar upsets the microbiome in your mouth, and then the bacteria isn't protecting your tooth and the enamel, and then you get a hole. So it's about your biome, your microbiome. So in terms of your tongue, so brushing your tongue, yes, you can absolutely brush your tongue. Okay. But if there's a coating, you'd want to look at your gut health and see what's happening.
Okay.
Yeah. And that would indicate more Candida overgrowth than that. Yeah.
Okay, got you. Is it, even if you've got good gut health, is it still good to include a probiotic on a daily basis?
So I wouldn't just take one every day.
Okay.
I would also alternate, because you have different strains as well. So just say you go through one pack of whatever.
Yes.
I would also maybe take a bit of a break, and then I'd maybe do another pack and then go to the other pack. So I wouldn't. No, I definitely have breaks. But certainly probiotics are certainly not something only for post antibiotics. Absolutely not. I mean, your health is your gut. So no, I absolutely wouldn't. But you can also do foods as well. So probiotic foods. So the likes of sauerkraut, kimchi, anything fermented like that.
Yes.
Ideally, you're having that with your meals.
With your meals.
Yeah.
We haven't even, I mean, there's so much. We could literally talk on another 3 podcasts about gut health's importance to various parts of the body, the central nervous system, mental good health. The list goes on. And actually, there's no part of the human existence that doesn't and isn't intertwined with gut health.
Yes, exactly.
You've been doing studies, and I don't know if now is maybe the good time to bring it up.
Yeah.
The correlation between maybe ADHD in children and good gut health.
Yes, so I'm doing, it's a study. I only have 10 kids. I don't personally have 10 kids. I have 2.
You're like,
just to
I
clarify.
have 10 kids. I'm like, great.
All with ADHD. My life is hard. No, I have 2 kids, but so I have 10 kids in the study, and it's basically, so I don't know. I haven't been in South Africa for the last 10 years. I've been in Ireland, and I've got back, and I've just noticed that it's almost everywhere. And obviously, so my focus is fixing the body and getting the body back to how it wants to be, how basically the universe, or I don't know, the creator made our body to be. And so far in the study, I mean, there isn't one child where their body isn't under stress.
Got you.
You know, so as in, under distress, sorry, as in like geographic tongue on the one, you know, bones easily breaking on the other. Like, but basically, their physical form, they're not a strong kid, and then their brain, as a result, because they obviously aren't getting, the body isn't getting what they need in terms of, you know, breaking down their food, getting their macronutrients. Because remember, you know the whole saying, you are what you eat. You have to digest it. You can't just eat it and then
go,
Yeah, totally. You have to digest it. So if you're not digesting it.
No.
So, I mean, so far, actually, so all the case studies are pretty similar except for the one. And I thought, why is she different? And I realized she actually hasn't been diagnosed. So there's, they sort of think that there's, and I was like, that's actually very interesting because, so it's all their gut issues. There's sugar cravings, there's candida overgrowth, there's, I mean, the tongue showing, the nails are breaking there. And so all those things. So I want to get their body to a state where, in terms of health, and then see what's happening with those symptoms. Because, I mean, I don't know how it can't be related. Obviously, I mean, I know it's related because that's you know, that's my line of work.
That's your line of work.
But it's interesting when I chat to, so I have a friend who's an OT, and she hasn't gone down the gut health route. Okay. And so, and so chatting to her, it was like she's from a different planet. I was like, I don't understand. Like, how do you? Anyways, that's actually what I'm doing. And I'm doing it so I can say,
that's brilliant.
Yeah, look, so of these, and also actually, maybe it's a case of, you know, of the 10 kids, 2 of them improve a lot, or they all improve by 20%. Or, I mean, but I mean, you know, I would imagine they'll improve by 99%.
Yes.
That's you know, only time will tell. So I'll keep you posted. That could be my
that'll be our follow-up podcast.
Yeah.
I love that. In closing, just there's so many products out there, and I know that we specifically, obviously, we know of one that you know that we both know that bring this podcast to you. But choosing a good probiotic and knowing the one that's good for you. There's so many options out there. What do we look for?
You're looking for a number of strains. Okay. I mean, to be honest, if you can keep switching over. So pick 4. Okay. Pick 4 which don't have the same strains, which have a variety of strains. I mean, you just say how many million. I'd be lying if I said.
Use exact amount.
I'd be lying if I said, And also, I mean, in terms of what I've realized recently, I try to bring some supplements over from the UK, and I realized how much you're paying for customs and how much you're paying for everything, for delivery. So actually, it's not necessarily the most expensive. Sure. So if it's not necessarily the most expensive. Everyone's like, it has to be in the fridge. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the fridge. Got you. It doesn't have to be the most expensive, but choose a few which sort of covers a range, and then alternate them. That's what I was looking for, alternate. And then also give your gut a bit of a break as well, so it can also regulate.
Love this conversation. I hope you've been enjoying it. Adi will be back for sure. We've got lots to cover, including that research that she's currently doing as well. Would love to know those results when they're available. Refreshing to chat with you, and I hope you really have enjoyed this. Feel free to recommend this to your friend. Importantly, to go out there and discover a bit more about the importance of good gut health. Adi St. George, thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Love it. Like, subscribe, give us the thumbs up. If you are watching this on YouTube, share it with your friends. Give us the like, press that button. And this was brought to you by Entire Probiotics. They're great for your gut health.